Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Hi guys, welcome to my channel. Before that, my name is Sherly Oktaria from the Faculty of Tarbiyah and Teacher Training, Department of Mathematics Education. So, here I will discuss about the conflict between Israel and Palestine. Palestine and Israel are in the area between the Mediterranean Sea and the Jordan River. This area, labeled Israel on the map, has the city of Jerusalem, which is considered holy by both Palestinian Arabs and Israel Jews. The history of Israel invading Palestine can be seen in the 1900s, when the mostly Arab and Muslim territories were still part of the Ottoman Empire. After World War I, Britain was mandated by the League of Nations to help establishing a state for the Jewish people in the region. Hundreds of thousands of Jews moved to the area as a Zionist movement. Zionism itself is escaping persecution and establishing its own state on lands that are considered to be ancestral lands forcibly expelled. In 1947, the United Nations approved a plan to divide Palestine into two territories, namely for the Jews Israel and for the Arab Palestinians. But Jerusalem, which is a holy city for both of them, is a special international zone. However, this was never done. The beginning of the Israel-Palestine conflict. The State of Israel was founded around 1948. At that time, the Palestinians didn't approve of the establishment of the State of Israel until war broke out. Jewish leaders accepted the United Nations plan, but many Palestinians opposed it, especially those who had fought British interests in the region for decades. In 1949, Britain withdrew from Palestine and Israel declared itself an independent state. At that time, Palestinians objected and Arab countries were mobilized to prevent the creation of the State of Israel. This incident led to the Arab-Israel War in 1948. By the time the war ended, Israel had already controlled most of the former British territory, including most of Jerusalem. Jordan controlled the West Bank, and Egypt controlled Gaza. According to the United Nations, more than half of the Palestinian Arab population fled and was expelled. It does not stop there. Wars and conflict continue to occur. The Gaza area becomes a bone of contention. The conflict between the two countries is not over. Right in 1967, otherwise known as the Six-Day War, Israel reclaimed the Gaza Strip and the Sinai Peninsula from Egypt. They also captured the Golan Heights from Syria, as well as seizing the West Bank and East Jerusalem from Jordan. The reason is Arab aggression on its borders. The seizure of this territory has an effect on war and is the reason Israel attacks Palestine again. Israel offered to return the territory they had seized in exchange. Arabs had to recognize Israel's right to access and provide guarantees against future attacks. However, the offer was rejected by Arab leaders. Only Egypt will negotiate the return of the Sinai Peninsula with an offer of full diplomatic recognition of Israel. Israel's continued occupation of this Palestinian territory has led to decades of conflict and violence. Nevertheless, mainstream Palestinian leaders still want a peace deal and seek a solution to the two-state conflict. The Jews continue to build settlements on the occupied lands. The White House is pro-Israel. Since 2017, then U.S. President Donald Trump has shown himself to be pro-Israel. This became even more evident when the US Embassy in Tel Aviv was moved to Jerusalem. And it is known that the current US President, Joe Biden, is secretly selling weapons in the form of bombs worth $10 trillion to Israel. The latest conflict between Israel and Palestine. In May 2021, there was an attack by Israel in the area of the Al-Aqsa Mosque complex. And on Monday 17 May, a number of Israel fighter jets attacked several locations in Gaza City. Israel's reason for attacking Palestine came after Benjamin Netanyahu signaled that a fourth war with Hamas, which controls Gaza, would continue. Even news agencies such as Al Jazeera and the Associated Press were attacked. The ceasefire eventually became a pact that Israel and Hamas have now agreed upon after 11 days of bloody fighting. According to Hamas, the ceasefire took effect on Friday, May 21 at 2 o'clock local time. Meanwhile, the Israel side, through Israel Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu, confirmed the ceasefire with Hamas, which has controlled Gaza. Netanyahu accepts the ceasefire proposal offered by Egypt. Israel and Palestine agreed to a ceasefire after days of attacks on each other. However, not long after, the Israel police again attacked Palestine. As is known, the clashes that occurred at Al-Aqsa Mosque during the holy month of Ramadan led the Hamas group to demand Israel troops vacate the compound. Thank you for watching, guys. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. Goodbye. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.